Okay, now before I start, I want to mention that this mic is incredibly cheap, so I can't guarantee quality, and I don't know how it would work with this new controller. On that note, I wanted to go over some hopes for the new Mass Effect Legendary Edition, as far as what improvements, mainly cosmetic, mind you, that it should get. The first, of course, would be some cosmetic bug fixes. For example, in Mass Effect 2, when you went into this terminal, went over to squad selection, and picked your squad members' outfits, you would basically be assigning them an outfit to wear, right? One would think. However, some outfits, like for example, Liara's, this is her default. This is an armor, so I can understand this particular one being reverted back to a default clothing. But say if you have her in this one, or this one, she should be wearing it outside of missions. Same thing with Edie. She should not be running around in a robotic nude body if you have her mission outfit set to, like, say, this outfit. And in Mass Effect 2, that was the case. You put Miranda or any other character in one of their costumes, and you would literally walk around the Normandy or not have them currently selected for your mission, and they would show up in that mission wearing that exact outfit. Mass Effect 3, no. Their default outfits were forced outside of certain circumstances.
Aware Krogan females find scars attractive. Garrus loyal.
Another thing I would recommend,
aggressive, almost like Krogan,
enhancement-wise,
for the third time,
is
Doctor, I'm not interested.
Essentially
Shepard. We were just
bringing in a
Are you okay?
cosmetic
I'm
syncing
fine,
function.
Rex. You can
In
relax.
other words,
Can't be too careful.
replace the character
Putting
creators
faith in
for
Solarian doctors.
or character
This
creator
one is
customization
different.
options for all three
Busy.
games to a single
that?
one
Simple
for
blood test.
unified options. Take
What
the
kind?
ME
Kind that ends
scars,
the genophage. Far less painful than
add
tissue
them
sampling.
to all the options that are available in
remind me.
ME3,
Think you enjoyed
including
doing that.
FemShep's
Shepard,
customization
please. Distractions counterproductive.
options.
Also affecting comfort of patient.
And then from there,
Solarians
same
have minds like a maze. You never know when
color
they're leading you into a
codexes
trap.
and whatnot, add the code
Trap. Eve's released by
to
doing. Would
it
never have
so
known
that
about
it's
her if not for me.
customizable in any
That was
time.
it.
Maybe
But
even
she's out
add
now.
in the
And
facial
if she gets
reconstructor
hurt,
that they
I'll
have in
feel it.
Andromeda
Understand, but my patient,
to
my
all three of
responsibility.
them,
Her
so you
welfare
can
a
change
priority.
it if you don't like it.
Will not allow her to be compromised by anyone.
I would, however, like
You
to
got a
state it
quad,
would be
Doctor.
nice to have
Keep
the
her safe.
same
Our females have endured
customization options
Now have work to do.
that were added
Prefer
for
females
character
of the species.
creation, such as the additional hair colors, makeups, makeup styles,
Maybe with
makeup
an inhibitor.
colors,
No.
and
Entire catalyzing
custom makeup customizations be added to the Mass Effect Trilogy's Legendary Remake. Another thing, back when you start the initial prologue with Mass Effect 2, your character would be wearing the default Onyx armor with the N7, full helmet up, and Liara or whoever is alive would show up in the armor that doesn't exist in Mass Effect 1. But then again, neither does the N7 armor. So my repute is find armors that are as close as to models as their armors. For example, Yara in the prologue, hers is a phoenix color design, but uses like one of the armor sets that aren't even available outside of the console commands on PC. Though there are a few ones that are totally different colors that do still use it. My suggestion is to basically utilize that body in just like the Onyx armor becoming a N7 design when Shepard wears it versus other characters. Do the same cosmetic overlay with Liara. Maybe even change it from the Phoenix color scheme so that they have that she wears the same color scheme throughout the trilogy. Same thing with characters that stay alive, such as Ashley. I always thought she looked her best in Phoenix. She does have the default outfit that she wears that has an alternative version that's white with a reddish color that I would also recommend. The second thing is, if you notice, when you switch to, like, say, the N7 Defender from your normal armor, these material, color, pattern, tints, and light options don't carry over. Neither do the helmet. That's sad, quite frequently, frankly. You should be able to cosmetically customize the N7 armor, and the helmet shouldn't be included. Should be whatever helmet you're using. Your normal armor, kind of like how the armor and such as the scavenger armor in Andromeda work as far as sets. Now, promotional armors like the Reckoner leave as is. Same with the Blood Dragon. But again, something like Cerberus, it's part of the game's base canon. It's not a sort of crossover armor like the Reckoner Knight or the Blood Dragon. So again, you should be able to at least change the colors and helmets to canon-based armor such as the Defender. So basically, you'd switch to Defender and you'll have the helmet selection, the material, pattern, color, tint 1, tint 2, and lights still changeable as long as you're not using Blood Dragon or other such crossover armors. There are also some additional hiccups. For example, the other day I was watching one of my friends play on my Xbox. They were playing as Infiltrator. The only weapons they had were the N7 sniper rifle, I can't remember its name, and the silenced pistol from the DLC. Now, several missions would have their character reach for the assault rifle slot and pull out
You're cleared to dock,
the
Normandy. Do you need
pistol.
ground transport?
I'll handle it.
the silenced pistol.
Yes, Commander.
That's a graphical oops, if cosmetic oops. But at the same time, there will be scenes where she'll pull out the default pistol, or she'll pull out... Oh, my friend plays a Femme Shepherd, by the way, so... Pull out the default sniper rifle or default assault rifle, even though the character wasn't using said weapon. I really think that it should be adjusted to only utilize the weapons and weapon slots that are currently being
Areas
used
tagged
by
of
the
interest to you
character.
are highlighted on the elevator menu. One moment, please.
Outside of that, like I said, I would like to see the color palettes that were added for hair colors from Andromeda added. I'd also like
Now arriving at Presidium
the
Commons.
Andromeda casual attire customized color coordination available.
Welcome to
if
Kanala
possible.
Exports. We appreciate your visit.
Among a few other
Welcome to Elkos Combine Arsenal Supplies. Thank you.
miscellaneous
Come
things, and such as the makeup from Andromeda being added, the hairstyles,
After all, it's not like I'm the reason.
Andromeda's unisex hairstyles, which are basically all hairstyles are unisex. It just swaps what order they are in based off of male first when you pick a male, or female first when you pick a female.
Yeah, they've been
That sort of thing.
Well, we're luckier than most other hospitals.
Refugees from
I
occupied colonies.
also kind of feel like the tattoos and scars of Andromeda should also be added. But most of the tattoos in Andromeda, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 that are even worth one's time. So there is that.
Welcome,
So
Commander
obviously
Shepard.
we would
Please
need
select
some
the
additional
destination.
tattoos, like maybe a few N7 or Alliance
If you have
logo
a question,
tattoos.
please consult an Avena terminal for assistance.
Like perhaps
One moment, please.
the other night I was watching the end of The Mandalorian, and there is a sort of teardrop tattoo on that one
Now arriving at Wars Level, Purgatory.
Durrani paratrooper chick from that's the wrestler, one of the wrestler chicks from the WWE. Funny thing that so many professional wrestlers from that particular WWE and WWF whatever end up going into acting. Funny because it's obvious that basically satisfies the theory that it's fake wrestling, they're just acting, yada yada. Kinda off topic there, but just had that thought. From there, the teardrop-like tattoo was in the shape of
So what's on
the
your mind, Shepard?
Rebel Alliance
Are the blood pack falling in line?
logo.
With Grill in charge, where all systems go.
That kind of got me
It's his
thinking
voice,
that in
but
Mass
my
Effect,
words.
it would be nice
Couldn't have
to
asked for a
also
better
have
product.
that same kind of
Black
tattoo,
Pack have committed
but using either
2,000
the Alliance
bloodshot
or the
cause.
N7
They'll make up the bulk of
logo.
the army.
How do you plan on
Another
taking
thing
Omega?
I want to point out is,
I think
in
I'm
the
going
original
to
Mass
employ
Effect, there was a
violence.
variety of Spectre
I'm gonna
armaments
slap Omega
that
right
are
out of
only
the elusive
usable
man's
through
greedy
console
little
commands in the
hands.
PC version.
What have we gained by having the Eclipse at our disposal?
Now, part of
A
that
ton
is
of
because
mechs and elite troopers for
there's-
stealth operations. Sane has turned out to be more malleable than Jonas
Silas,
Adair's ever was.
the Turian
My control of
Spectre's
Eclipse runs
armor
even
is
deeper than
part
I
of that.
expected.
So is
You
his
surprised
weaponry.
me by taking
It's all
such agency in the matter.
Spectre kit
What's new
that
with you?
not
That's
usable
supposed to be
outside of
funny?
Prologue.
Let's see.
I'm
I've
not
lost
seeing
Omega.
anywhere else.
I got CSEC eyes all over
I
me,
would
and I'm
like
holed up in this
for
poor
that
excuse for a
to
nightclub.
be those
Can't
to be
even get
tweaked,
an ovarian rub
updated, and
here.
brought in so
In other
that
words,
there's
I'm in hell.
crossovers. Another possible
Sounds like you have a lot
change
to worry
would
about.
be to
I'll get out of
have
your hair.
You're quite the comedian today.
more
We'll
forced
be seeing each other soon.
and
Shepard.
7/ overlays for example Shepard. So you put him in any armor set and it'll have the N7 stripes and logos and whatnot type thing. That would solve a lot of the crossover stuff. Once more, maybe an option, quick toggle to toggle between the two different types of helmets, as well as an option to allow the overlays in different for non-Shepard, as well as more Force overlays. For example, considering most of the human armors look exactly the same, depending on light, medium, and heavy, and at the end, or at the beginning of the prologue, Shepard, no matter what class he is wearing the heavy anyways. Why not add a special N7 armor that's unlocked as far as the Spectre requisitions towards the end of the game, that basically is the same armor that Shepard wears in the prologue of Mass Effect 3. Visually looks like heavy, even though that it will scale up to the maximum tier for other characters. Say your character can only support heavy, or can only support medium. It looks like heavy armor, but it's a medium armor. That type of thing. Make it adaptive, so, and enticing over the other armors in the game, as well as the equip any armor glitch, which after finding out about it and having played the Mass Effect 2 demo before I actually played Mass Effect, I basically ended up using that glitch to do as much as possible for consistency between the two titles. So having some cosmetic effects, tweaks and improvements for consistency between all three games would be nice. Another thing is, and this is probably the least cosmetic related thing, is when you look at the, what was it called? Oh yeah, there's the New Game Plus function. So if you take the New Game Plus function and alter it to where it works with the importation system between characters, so that New Game Plus / character importation can be used in a way that I guess the proper way would be to say New Game Plus Trilogy. In other words, change it to where basically your character you use the same character files and importation systems. So you start with Mass Effect 1, you do a single playthrough, then go to Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, and then have a New Game Plus where you literally start from one, can start from one again, New Game Plus, the whole trilogy, so that you're, instead of playing the same game, same one of the trilogy, such as New Game Plus, Mass Effect 1 over and over again, to unlock everything, complete everything, get 100% completion, you spread it out to where you're doing it the trilogy. You play through this whole 3 titles as New Game Plus, starting out where you left off in each title, but having cosmetics and stuff carry over too. Like, for example, as you saw with this, I changed my N7 armor to be black with gold stripes and blue lightings, right? And have this armor. So I basically did that in Mass Effect 2 as well. Granted, not all the same attachments for the armor, but the same headset visor. So from there, the idea would be to repeat the process. So that my characters, when I go from Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3, basically, there's no difference. The color scheme I chose for my armor in Mass Effect 2 is the default color scheme for the armor that I start out with in Mass Effect 3. And so it sticks. It basically adding mostly cosmetic benefits between 2 and 3, as well as carrying over all the inventory, character levels between them, file-wise, so that when you complete 3, you go back to 1 as New Game Plus and cycle through the trilogy instead of individual titles. It would be interesting and fun to do so. God, I haven't touched this game since I got my Xbox One after my 360 died. So I'm like a little lost as far as where I left off and everything. And I do own all the DLC for 1 and 2, as well as own them, and that includes the promotional stuff, like the Dr. Pepper promos and whatnot. And I own like almost all the DLC for the 3 that's not EA access for 3.
That warned us about the
The exception was
Eden Prime also marks Theron's first
3
major attack with the
expansions.
gas.
Yes.
The Citadel, Omega,
Eden Prime's colonists are under attack again.
and I think it was the
Seems like more than just 3 years
Leviathan
ago.
one.
Records indicate that you lost a squad mate on Eden Prime.
Yeah. Corporal Jenkins.
Does returning to the colony cause unpleasant memories?
It's okay. Jenkins was a good soldier. He'd be proud of what we're doing here.
I hope the motivation
Yeah,
is
so those are the ones I
Cerberus hit
don't
Eden Prime
own,
hard. Whatever they found here was
but
worth a major
because I
offensive.
have Game Pass
There are
Ultimate, I
survivors
now
elsewhere
have
in the
access
colony,
to
but
them.
They killed
Other than
everyone
that,
near
I
the
own
dig site.
everything for the whole
They deserve
trilogy.
better.
I know.
would love
The
to
Alliance
just
did
be
what
able
it
to
could
get
to
the
evacuate
Legendary
colonists, but
Edition
Cerberus came in so quickly.
without having to
If we find
repurchase it
survivors,
because
we'll
of
do what
all
we can.
that.
What about this
But-
artifact? Any idea whether it's part of the Crucible?
Knowing
The
EA
Alliance didn't get any specifics about what
and
Cerberus
how
has uncovered.
money
Since the
hungry
original
they
dig site here
are as
contained a
far as
warning about the
milking their
Reapers,
customer
it could
base
be
like
connected to the Crucible.
Activision,
I'm bringing you in
I
as close to the
seriously
dig site
doubt
as I
that's
can.
going to happen.
No way we'll avoid detection, but you should have a few minutes.
Another thing I
Appreciate it.
would like
All part of the service, Commander.
to hope for as far as
All right,
the
everyone.
Legendary
Get ready to
Edition
move.
is
With luck, we can get to the dig
for
site
the
before
Windows
Cerberus
10 and
knows we're here.
Xbox versions, console Xbox, Xbox One / Series X/X, to be part of the Smart Launch and Play Anywhere bundle, so that save files in one purchase, one all. But again,
Come on, let's see if we
with
can find the dig
EA's
site.
known power hungriness,
This was a beautiful
or
colony.
shit,
once.
not power, money hungriness, and their tendency to go out of their way to
The city on
mimic
Earth where I grew up was hard
Activision
and
and
dirty.
milk their
I can
customer
see it
base
as a war zone.
dry.
Eden
I
Prime
doubt
doesn't
that'll
deserve
happen.
this.
Nobody does.
Granted, Unlike Activision, who actually does that without any real titles that are worth even trying to be milked, even though their biggest milkable title being COD is basically the same thing on repeat with only a different story
Shepard, this
and
Cerberus data could help the colonists still
one or
alive on
two
other parts of Eden
changes
Prime.
that in actuality
I can
is
get this
worth
intel
no
to
more
Eden
than an
Prime's
expansion
resistance.
pack,
Maybe
but
it
is
will
a
help
whole
them fight
brand
back
new
against
game.
Cerberus.
There's the elevator that leads to the dig site.
Good. Now we can
Activision
find out what they've
are
discovered.
not EA's games, on the other hand, when they milk them. They're more worthwhile titles
Goddess,
and
that doesn't
content
seem possible.
to
It's not
even
a Prothean
warrant
artifact.
the milking
It's
of the customer base. But still, they take it a little too
Prothean.
far.
You believe Cerberus has recovered the corpse of a Prothean
Especially for
unmodified by
somebody
root
like me
technology.
who
Cerberus hasn't
has
uncovered corpses.
Asperger's
This
syndrome
Prothean is
and a
alive.
host of
You're
other
right. That doesn't
disabilities.
sound possible.
That means
You
that
saw Prothean stasis
the
chambers
only
in the archives
decent
on Ilos. The only reason those failed was
income
a lack
I
of power.
am capable of getting my hands
Cerberus
on
found
because
this in an underground
nobody,
bunker. It still has
no
power.
matter how hard I
He's
job
been in
hunt,
stasis for the past
has been willing to
50,000
take a
years,
chance on
waiting for us.
me with
Think
all
of what we
these
could
disorders.
What
So
can you tell me
finding
about
a
the
job's pretty much
people, not
next
the
to
technology.
impossible.
Given your
outside
experience
of
with the Prothean
video
cipher,
game
you
streaming.
probably know as much about them as I do. The Prothean Empire spanned the known galaxy.
So,
they uplifted
my
countless other
budget
species to help
means
them
that
join the
right
galactic
now,
community.
By galactic community,
where I'm living
you're
in,
suggesting that Protheans had a structure similar to the modern
those
council.
who work
Yes, exactly.
30
Their
hours
cultural and artistic expression
for 4
are
days a week
actually quite close to those of the ancient Asari.
will get,
And given their
in
similar
that week,
interests in
the
helping
same
other
amount
species,
I get
it's clear
per
that
month
they believed in
to work
interspecies
with
cooperation.
income-wise.
The way you describe them, they sound a lot like the Asari.
On top of the fact
I'm
that the
certain
way
I'm
my
coloring
mind
their
works
culture with
is
my own perceptions.
video games make
Whatever
sense.
the Protheans were,
People
finding
don't.
one alive represents an incredible
Software
opportunity.
Good thing we
navigating
brought our
makes
Prothean
sense.
I
People
hope I
don't.
can help. If this single Prothean was sent into stasis, he
Not
could be
to
the foremost
mention
scientist
that
of his
with my
time, or
series
perhaps
of
the wisest
disorders,
counselor.
I probably
Cerberus
would have
damaged the
gone
life pod when
insane
they
without
excavated
video
it.
games, to be
The life
honest.
signs are unstable.
Then let's get him out of there.
No,
Their
breaking
anger
open the pod
management
would kill him.
tools, their
We
coping
have to find the command
mechanisms,
signal
they
that ends
serve
the
as a
stasis mode. We also need to figure out
extension
how to
of
physically open the pod without doing more
socializing
damage.
because, well, in
Cerberus took over
person,
the labs
I'm
nearby to
very
research what they found at the dig site. That's
shy
likely our best
and
bet.
have a tendency to be pretty introverted. But through video games, I come out of my shell. So, video games have basically become a lifeline to me. Without them, I would probably be dead or worse. And as a result, they're literally a major part of my life. Sadly enough, they're expensive and just keep on getting more expensive. Consoles alone. In fact, this
All right.
Xbox One,
Let's get moving before more of them come back.
I didn't even have a year. It's the original 1 terabyte model they came out with that I had to get after a year after my 360 died. I had been saving up after the 360, getting the the slim model for a Christmas gift, and I had been saving up for an actual one at that time, or not a 360. So I had about $200 saved up at that point, and I needed an additional $50 to be able to get a 360 on my own. Luckily, I got one for a Christmas gift.
More
that
intel
year.
to help the colonists. The more we find, the better chance they'll
It took
have.
me 5 years of saving and basically almost starving myself, not buying any clothes, until my clothes turned into decaying rags, just to be able to save up that much. And that was back when I was still living in California, where my income, my monthly Social Security and SSA income was actually triple what it is now. So, with that in mind, when the Xbox One came out, it took me an incredibly long time to be able to afford it. In fact, the Slim had just came out, and the S, or Project Scorpio, or no, was it Crimson or Scorpio? One of the two. The Series X code name was announced before it actually was given a name. And I hadn't even had this refurbished tier initial 1 terabyte version of the Xbox One for even a year at that point. Series X and S and X. Such a mouthful. I'm just gonna use the pre-release initial project slang name, the Xbox X, because it's just so much easier to say than Series S and X all the time. So, Xbox S's are incredibly pricey, and as probably seen on my channel, screensavers and whatnot, my TV's black, my console's black, my entertainment's black, our entertainment center's black.
That lab
So
found footage of the
I'm not
Protheans.
gonna
Cerberus
get
is
a
studying it to figure
freaking
out how to
bright
physically open the pod.
Stormtrooper white console, because that's just gonna look incredibly derpy to have next to all that black, a smidget of white. Hence the reason why when we came out white, they eventually came out with a black. Same thing with the 360 generation. It started out white, everybody was like against it, so they eventually had to come off black version. They're repeating it with both the Slim / all digital and the Series S budget version. So, kind of disappointing with that. Granted, I don't use a 4K TV, so other than the improved performance, I wouldn't even get anything out of getting the Series X or S, other than the ability to use additional fonts for some things. So, unless the Series X gets a major price drop, or the Series S gets a black version, and they do a major fix for the storage issues, especially the default storage, because I have a 1 terabyte, and as somebody who's paid for Gold / Ultimate when the Ultimate came out, sent for like ever, even after Games with Gold came out, and has basically redeemed every free game with the exception of a handful, like Goat Simulator. Don't know what the fuck those people were thinking, but okay. That would be fine if I was a stoner, I guess. So not my thing, so not even worth it. Got sidetracked. So
I think I can duplicate that to open the life pod.
yeah,
You understood
my
that?
game library currently
No.
has
All I saw was
literally
static.
over
Cerberus was trying to make sense of
400
it
and
without
counting
success.
games
The
in
Prothean
it.
cipher you received
Thanks
on
to that.
Pharaohs, it lets you see the
At
images
most,
as a Prothean would
on
and
the
understand
Xbox
their
One
language.
generation,
Whatever it does, I saw the video.
I can
And how to
maybe
seal the life
fit
pods.
about
Perfect. Then we just need the signal they use to activate
12
stasis mode.
to 15 games, depending on their quality and if they're Xbox One or 360. That doesn't even put a dent, and that doesn't include the Game Pass titles, which, can't even fit on the storage, so unless they came out with the ability to use cloud on the consoles themselves to get Game Pass games, then they're really going to have major issues with the Series X's storage capacity. Period. So they either need to allow cloud streaming optional for at least Game Pass, if not your entire library, if you're a Game Pass member, or do something about drastically improving the storage capacity.
This isn't a military stronghold. It's somebody's home.
Or something that's both affordable and capacity enabled. Unless those two, and unless that issue is solved and they come out with a black Series S, then I'm just gonna end up skipping the current sex generation and save up for the generation that comes after it. Easier said than done. Especially with consoles not only be massively increase in price, but most games. I mean, even before the Xbox One generation, I literally could not afford to buy new games. And two, they were at least 50 to 75% off. And that was just for a base game, which halfway through the 360 generation, I stopped buying base games instead of going for the bundles where they came with the season passes or whatever, because, well, it's generally between 10 to 15 to sometimes 30% cheaper that way. And it allows me to better be able to afford it all.
There.
Ironically enough, I tend to be more of a DLC pack rat. I will get into a game, and even if it's just single player, which I don't play a lot of single player games because, well, they get old and stale really fast, even with all the DLCs. Hence, multiplayer being more my style because, well, there's the human element mixed in there and the randomness that comes in with all that stuff. Not to mention, in multiplayer games, where else can you? And I laugh at somebody, I laugh at the fact that your teammate threw a grenade at your enemy, it bounced off their face, and then came back and blew you up, and not your teammate. I mean, that's one of the best, most social interactions that video games allow to happen.
I never thought our empire would fall.
It's just a unique social experience all the way around when it comes to multiplayer games.
Then we will rise, a million
of course,
for the empire.
I always try to make my ideal self and integrate my ideal self into the world of video games. So I focus on games that allow for heavy character customization, that allow me to create myself like that. That means black armor, gold trim, pure blue / cobalt lights / HUD, white skin, baby face, blonde hair, sapphire blue eyes.
The Protheans used to activate stasis mode.
Short,
Excellent.
usually spiky
Then we
hair.
have everything we need to
So,
open the pod.
my appearance in game, from character game to game, pretty much is the same everywhere. It's basically my ideal self. Now, granted, I'm not as in shape as my ideal self would be. So much so that I prefer not to look in the mirror 90% of the time. I also don't like facial hair. I do, however, have my hair trained to where just put a little water in it, and as long as it's short enough, it'll spike without gel. So I go for that type of hairstyle in games. I also used to have quite the golden blonde hair before, well, discovering video games, discovering, or being scared to get COVID. So my hair went from that color to brown over the years. Granted, I used to also read in the sunlight before COVID. So I get enough sunlight, it'll go back to that, but I prefer that hair color. As I got older, life jaded me. My eye color also jaded, so there's that too. My skin tone pretty much has stayed the same over the years. I don't tan, I burn. So either I'm incredibly pale or I'm red skinned. That's just the way my skin works. Blame the Norse blood. So, all that combined, that's my appearance in games all the way. Also, I learned along the track of life that if I take the eye color that I have, even when it's not jaded by life, and the hair color when it's properly sun, I guess the term would be, when it gets enough sunny D, let's put it that way. And I meant that as in sunlight / vitamin D. Not anything else you dirty-minded miscreants may think of. Because, yeah, I know a few people who would take that easily to a perverted route. So, I want to clarify before it's taken out of context that, frankly, with all that, I've noticed that combining my hair color, skin color, eye color, and whatnot.
We need to locate the controls. No time. Let's find another way across.
My best color coordination, or what really suits me the best, is to wear primarily black colors. Now, I actually like to have gold and the blue you see on the lights of my suit mixed in there. Hence the reason why even my character has very similar color schemes. Again, my ideal self. Of course, this means in video games, I prefer to be more of a hybrid build. Most games usually have either a DPS role, usually with dual wielding, or a tank. However, there are a few of them that allows one to be a hybrid like that, where you can wear heavy armor or the tank damage, while also dealing out a decent amount of DPS and dual wield. That's my preferred build. For guns with games, I prefer, or games with guns, I prefer dual wielding, again, due to primarily DPS aspect.
I'm transmitting the signal.
Now,
It'll take a few
as far as
moments for the life
games
pod to
like
process
Halo and stuff, I'm a pretty
Cerberus
decent
has heavy
shot with
forces
most
incoming.
guns.
We'll need to hold this position.
So I mostly get a good critical hit. So Halo and Destiny and whatnot, I usually go for scout rifle single shots for medium to long range. Do not use snipers unless they have iron sights or a rifle scope that's really short range. I don't know what it is, but sniper scopes just throws off my aim. For those who have seen Red versus Blue and seen how bad the AI character, I forgot his name. Wasn't it like Church or Tucker or one of the two? Anyways, the guy who turns out to be an AI in a robotic body that gets blown up by friendly fire with Sheila the tank. Anyways, he's really bad with snipers. When the meta came around, the only reason why I was able to hit the meta with the sniper after spamming, I'm pretty sure spamming, if I remember correctly, the whole entire clip, was one of the sniper bullets ended up ricocheting
Looks like we've got a second to catch our
quite
breath.
a few dozen
Or set
times,
up preparations for the
only
next
to
wave.
hit the meta in the small toe. The first
light
time
pod
he
ended stasis
managed to
mode.
hit anything.
It should not be much longer.
Now, I'm not a ricochet master.
We should look for ways to
However,
hamper the enemy's approach.
I can lay
He
down a singularity to
has
block enemy access.
only a slightly worse ability to hit a human moving target than I do.
Heavy mech inbound.
I can more or less hit a vehicle like a tank. I can definitely hit a stationary target, a person that's just standing there. But 9 times out of 10, if it's a person and moving and I have a sniper, the shot will miss. I'm best with mid-range weaponry, mid to short, precision weapon, marksman / precision weaponry. As far as guns, I can dual wield pretty well, and most of the time, even when dual wielding Halo SMGs, for example, more than half of my shots are in the face. Or whatever enemy I'm facing happens to have for a critical zone spot.
There. You
weak
can open the
point.
life pod now.
So I stick with prefer the DMR over something like the BR, generally because I don't know what it is
There,
with
you got it.
the later
Got it.
burst rifles. The Halo 2 burst fire, I was pretty good.
It may take him some time
After
to
that,
fully regain
the
consciousness.
later BRs, I don't know what it is, but the bullets just didn't go where one would expect. I prefer weapons that are single shot or burst fire, have a decent high impact, can be used at a variety of ranges, and have a large enough clip to be able to use them in enough
careful, he's
to take
confused.
out a few targets during different situations. So, like in Destiny, heavy weapons, always a sword. My primary and secondaries will usually be a combination
Remember,
of
it's been
a scout
50,000
rifle
years for us, but for him,
with
it's
high
only been-
impact
A few minutes.
and a
No.
build as
There is no other option.
close to having maxed out range as possible with using
Coming Empire. Preparing
a low
bombardment. Get to your light
zoom,
pod now.
low range scope. Which is basically the most long range scope I could use is basically the long range scopes that they have on the scout rifles in Destiny 1. In fact, in Destiny 1, I had this gunsmith scout rifle that, believe it or not, was
What is
a
left
perfect
of it?
roll.
Few hundred people.
It had
How am I to rebuild an empire? from that?
3/3 or 3/4 of the impact bar filled up. Had a decent clip size,
Sensors are damaged.
and with the rolls and the modules I picked, its range bar was maxed out. This thing I could use at the same ranges as a sniper and actually hit things.
Our needs will be triaged.
Granted, it was harder to see what I was aiming at because
You will be the
most of the
voice
time when I was using it, all I saw was
I will
the
be
vague
more than that.
outline of silhouette of my target. Couldn't distinguish what part was the head or anything.
How many others?
Most of the time,
Just
they
you.
would either appear as a dot, a slight
can understand
oval,
me?
Yes. Now that I've read your
or
physiology,
a
your
single
nervous system,
line. So
enough to understand
I
your
didn't have
language.
So you were
precision
reading
as much,
me while I was seeing
but I could hit
Our
them
last moments. Our failure.
with anywhere on
Your
their
people did everything
form.
they could. They never gave
Can
up.
get a critical
And I could
attack
use some of that
purple
commitment
of,
now.
like I could with the DMR in Halo or the hand cannon, which every 8 out of 10
human,
bullets is basically
synthetic.
guaranteed to
This is
be
not a
a
good
critical hit
beginning.
when using hand
It's
cannon.
not safe here.
I couldn't
join us?
guarantee it with that
You
particular
fight the
weapon,
Reapers?
but I can
Yes.
guarantee that
Then we will see.
almost 9 out of 10 bullets actually hit them somewhere on their form, some shape or form, even at sniper rifle range, unlike with sniper rifle. In fact, no matter what level I was at, when range, environment, whatever, I could as long as I had a
That's
clear
correct.
line of sight,
But he's not quite what
no
we
matter
expected.
what range there are, I could
Commander,
pretty
our
much
scientists
guarantee I could
barely
hit their butt.
understand what they need to do here.
Destiny 2,
If the Prothean can help us construct this device, we need his cooperation.
won the seasonal challenge scout
Understood,
rifles.
Admiral.
I forget what it's
We're
called.
losing colonies
It's
faster
part
than
of
we
a
can
challenge
evacuate.
quest
We've
line
never
for the
seen a force
Vanguard
like the Reapers.
that has something similar to
Can you
Firefly
help us?
when getting critical
I intend
hits.
to find out.
It's the closest
Good.
thing I could find to
Silver
Destiny
slipped up and
2.
gave us a
So
new
I
weapon.
use that as
Don't let it go to waste. How can I
my
help?
secondary, and I use the healing primary hand cannon
It's about our new guest.
in my
I'm on my
primary,
way.
but I like to use hand cannons with kinetic hand cannons
What's
with
the
the
problem?
chest plate that deals
I've tried to
elemental
make the room more
damage
accommodating, but they're not letting me talk to him.
Apologies,
or
Doctor.
elemental
Contact protocol with a
explosions
new
upon
species
critical
of
hits, so that
human
both my
hostility.
primary and
We had to
secondary
dust off the
have
regulations.
AoE effects with critical hits, considering I'm that almost guaranteed with
But he's not new.
85%
I've spent my life studying Protheans.
accuracy to get a critical hit
At ease.
per shot
think our guest
with
will be a
most
problem.
of the guns, and I like to use
Will he?
as far as exotics on
That
Destiny
depends
2,
on you.
I forgot its name. The hand cannon version of the Red Death in Destiny 1, the one that heals you when you kill things. It's a decent
What do you mean, you
design,
sense?
but that's basically my style.
Life provides clues for those who can read them.
Sword
Within
for in
yourselves,
close,
your
medium
DNA,
range, use something like a
experience is
hand
biological
cannon.
marker.
Use a precision rifle decked out with a short
And what
range
exactly did I
scope
experience
with
back on Eden
max
Prime?
range
That was a
everything
hell of a
else,
flashback.
and
The battle left its own
my
mark on me.
general
I
build.
communicated this
Of
to
course,
you. It can
in games
work
where I
both
can, I
ways.
prefer to use twin hand
your
cannons,
beacons.
one each hand, double the DPS, which doesn't
Yes.
affect my aim too much.
Which
In games where I can dual wield swords, I prefer to do it to increase my double DPS while using
you found one.
heavy
You saw
armor
it
to
all. Our
shrug off
destruction,
damage.
our warnings. Why would
Most
they hit?
games where
Why didn't
one
you prepare for
dodges,
the Reapers, human?
I'm
It's
usually
And nobody could understand your warnings. The beacon nearly
maybe
killed me.
a second to 30 milliseconds or
Communication is
so,
still
or
primitive in this cycle.
between 30
We pieced together
milliseconds
what we could,
or
and used it to stop a
eh,
Reaper invasion
between
3
30
years ago.
milliseconds and a second,
Then the
either
extinction
too
was delayed.
fast on the dodge or too slow on the
Now
dodge,
we have your
and
plans
still
for the
manage to
Crucible. We've started building
just
it.
barely still get hit.
Crucible?
The weapon
So
your
I
people
don't
were
really
working on.
use
I'd hope you
dodge
could tell us how to finish
roll loadouts. I focus on being able to take and
We
tank
never finished it.
and absorb
too
shrug
late.
off damage. Let's put it that way.
Then I take it you don't know
Now,
anything about the
when
catalyst?
I do take cover.
No,
I do play smart.
I was a soldier.
In fact,
not a scientist. Skilled
one-on-one
in one art,
combat,
killing.
I'm okay.
What was your
But
mission?
when I'm
Among my people,
working in as a
there
team,
were avatars
I
of
thrive.
many traits.
Part of the
Bravery,
reason why I
strength,
use the
cunning.
whole
A single exemplar for each.
king/lord handle
Which are you?
is because
The embodiment of vengeance.
I
am the anger of a
when
dead
it comes to
people,
shooters
demanding
and
blood
combat-related
spilled for the
games,
blood we lost.
I think outside the
Only
box
when the
enough
last
that I
member
can
has been
figure
destroyed will my purpose
out
be
strategic
fulfilled.
things that most
Have
people
no
don't
other reason
notice
to exist.
and don't pick up on enough that I thrive in a sort of
Those
leader
who share my
position
purpose become
under
allies.
combat in
Those who
video
do not
games.
become casualties.
So,
Nothing in our
hence
fight against the
the
Reapers has
whole
been that cut and dried.
royalty leader position
because you still have hope
that I
that this war will end with
tend
your
to
honor
take
intact.
as far as social
do.
aspects. Plus,
Stand in the
I
ashes
also
of a trillion dead
view
souls and ask the
the
ghosts if honor matters.
various time periods, and I also like a lot of the
This silence is your answer.
Japanese manga and anime of the, I don't know the proper pronunciation,
We found
but
this at the dig site. I assume it
basically
belongs to you.
roughly translates to parallel
memory
world,
shard.
other world, another
Could it help
world
us with the
type
crucible?
translation genre,
It contains
where
only
either
pain.
character gets killed, reincarnated into another
But I
world
will
with
help you
medieval
fight.
technology, but
the last
magic,
thing the
and
Reapers
brings
hear
all
before
the
they
knowledge
die
of the modern
will be
world
the
and
last voice of the
civilized
Protheans, sending
human
them to
rights
their
and
grave.
whatnot into that world, or gets
If you
transferred
don't
or
mind,
whatever.
I have a
That's
few
like
more
one of my
questions I'd like to
favorite
ask.
genres.
Here it comes.
There's even a few
I've
rare
written over a
ones
dozen studies on your
where
species.
they're
I've
transferred from
published in
this
several
modern
journals
world
that-
Amusing.
to one with
A sigh
sci-fi
I
elements.
finally
Now
mastered
that is
writing.
by far my favorite.
I'm sorry.
Never mind. What do you wish to know?
A good example
seen a
would
species
probably
with this
be
sensory
Knight and
ability you
Magic.
have.
It's a medieval
It was
world,
common among my people,
but they have
imparting
giant
experience
mechs.
through touch, the chemistry
But yet,
of life. Complicated ideas could be absorbed
Other than
in
mechs
seconds.
and the
That
guns, the
sounds
mechs
very
may or
useful.
may not have.
We evolved as hunters.
They don't have much in the
Reading
way
1,000
of
details
firearms.
in our environment ensured our survival.
I'm beginning to understand the
They're
beacons a bit
medieval
more.
society, like
Later, we
pre-Dark
developed technology
Ages
to harness our ability.
on our world, which
Information
was
could be stored in certain objects through
roughly
touch.
about 800
Memory has
years
its
ago.
own biomarker, its own chemistry, as do knowledge and skills. The beacons could
Sure,
remember
there
these
was a
things.
lot wrong
Things
during
like
that
Reaper
time
invasions.
that with
Yes,
knowledge of
I can
modern
still sense
times
the turmoil in
could
you,
be fixed.
witnessing
But
the
there was
extinction of our
also
empire.
a lot
The
of,
fabric of your being was forever marked that day.
it was
So
much
could you read something
simpler.
about this room?
It was, depending on where you were, had more
There was
morals,
liquid, a form of incubation.
codes of
The
conduct
DNA
and
of a
ethics.
Krogan who
Granted,
lived here. He was
There was a lot
powerful,
more
prone to
corruption
violence.
because there was a
impressed.
lot more people
His
that didn't
name
know
was
any
Grubb.
better, and there was no
And if he
safeguards
were my
against
enemy,
corruption.
I would have given him a wide berth. There is great strength in
But
his
using
genes.
modern
I'm beginning to
safeguards against
understand the beacons a bit
corruption
more.
and
Later,
stuff,
we developed
and
technology
like
to harness
human
our
rights
ability.
and whatnot in
Information
those
could be stored in
worlds,
certain objects through
in
touch.
theory, would
Memory has its own
bring about
biomarker,
a more
its own
ideal
chemistry,
society.
as do knowledge
Which
and
always
skills.
intrigues me.
The beacons could remember
In fact,
these things.
Things like Reaper
I
invasions.
watch more
Yes,
anime
I
than
can still sense the turmoil in
American
you,
cartoons
witnessing
or
the extinction
live
of our
action
empire.
American
The
shows
fabric of your
because
being was forever marked that day.
anime, frankly,
Is there anything more you can
I'm
tell
always
us about the Crucible?
thinking
Only the stories
when I
we
watch
heard.
most American
They said our
shows,
scientists were constructing a great machine that had the power
my
to
brain
defeat
just
the
shuts
Reapers.
down because it
never
is
saw it?
so
By that point, the empire
predictable.
was smashed into pieces.
even
None of
more
us knew
so
what the
with
others were
horror
doing.
or zombie
Well, if we
related
don't finish
shows.
it
I
soon,
mean,
the same will be true of us.
scene 5
Here would
and
never forgive me if I didn't
they're
ask you.
become the
was
point where
Prothean
they're the
civilization
same
like?
thing.
Yes, I've always wondered.
Just different
what
people.
sort of government did you have, and can you tell me about
So
your religious beliefs?
I end
or
up
perhaps
watching
the-
more
We are dead now.
Japanese
matter?
anime stuff
I'm
because that
sorry.
constantly
Studying your
has
history
a lot
has been a
going
lifelong
on
passion of mine.
on different levels
When I was
that makes
born,
me think.
our empire was already at war with the Reapers.
I mean, they even
The
have
first thing I remember was seeing
hidden
my
life
planet on
lessons
fire.
in there.
What was your
They
civilization
have
like before the
hidden
Reaper
knowledge
attack?
in there.
We were the dominant race of
mixed
our
in
cycle.
with fiction,
We
mind
ruled
you.
the galaxy.
My studies indicated you
But
were the only race engaged in
just
space travel at the time.
Intrigues me.
I always found that curious.
We were one empire
So,
composed of many
I know I
subjects,
kind of got off
all
topic
eventually
there,
called
but
themselves
I'm
Prothean.
not
they didn't
even
want to?
at the DLC
They weren't
point
given
or
a
at
choice.
points where I can really
Are you saying you enslaved the other
point
species?
out some of the
Any
issues
could
I
oppose us if
was
they wished. And if
trying
they
to
had
cover
won,
in
they
this
would have
because it's
won.
been so long
Many
since I've
tried.
played
None
this.
succeeded.
I had no idea
But this
Protheans
is like-
were so severe.
I think
It was by necessity.
probably around the
Very
10th
early we encountered the
playthrough
dangers
that I
posed by machine intelligence.
started up
They
on
rebelled
Mass Effect
against us.
3,
We've had the same problem. They're called Geth.
at
We
least.
could not allow the machines to surpass us.
So
It was decided the only way to win was to unite all
I
organic life within
don't
our
wanna-
empire.
Did it work?
like
For a time.
skip anything
The
for
Metacom
those who
War.
may want to
We
watch the
returned in
visuals,
time
but I'm also
until
not
the
at a
Reapers
point where I
arrived.
can
Then we
cover
understood machines
what I
had
wanted to
surpassed
cover in
us
the
long
video,
ago in ways we could
and
never imagine.
I don't have any hardware to edit said video, so
Thank you for talking with me. I never imagined actually meeting a Prothean.
I'm sort of just
This has
talking
been
about just about
amusing.
anything,
Oh?
trying to get to a
discover the
point
most primitive races
where I
of my
can
time now
further
rule the
emphasize
galaxy.
what I
The
want to
Asari,
cover in
the
the video.
humans, the Turians.
There's also the Solarians.
And it's also
The
my
lizard people
first
evolved.
scheduled
I believe they're amphibian.
They used to eat
broadcast
flies.
of the year, and also the first,
Commander.
how
you
should
may
I
count on
say,
me. I am known
scheduled
as Jack.
broadcast, I guess,
Then welcome aboard the
since
Normandy,
the
Jack.
holidays, mainly Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year stuff. I did throw in some minor holiday specials and streamed a demo to the end. For those who I don't know who's actively watching it, I don't have everything set up to where I can even see the chat, because right now, though I do have a computer, it has to run through my Xbox because my TV only has a single HDMI. So my Xbox is part of my computer is part of my Xbox, so I don't really have a way to see the chat. So that's part of the reason why I normally don't use the voice overs right now. Plus, I got crap for voice hardware, no soundproofing because of circumstances regarding financial difficulties and increased rent prices in California, just living on my room or renting a room. I had to move back in with my family, so they built a room, but it has no soundproofing and no door. So working with what little I have to work with, and it's not ideal for voiceovers, commentary, or any of that. So I usually don't use that stuff when streaming until I can better accommodate it. Plus, a few people actually seem to find my voice annoying. So I tried to avoid talking. Plus, a lot of the time I'll be focused on what I'm doing and not talking unless I figure something out that nobody else seems to figure out, or throw out some tactical barks, shorthand there, wherever. Other than that, I, for the most part, will simply like when I'm in a party, I tend to just chill. If I don't have anything meaningful to say, I won't say it. So a lot of the times when I'm in parties with friends, they'll be chatting and I'll be there, and I'll say maybe a few things every couple of hours related to what's being talked about. But that's about it. Of course, most of the time when I do actually say something on this situation, it's very meaningful, useful information type stuff. At least that's what I've been told. I mean, I'll be listening to them, not say anything, and I'll throw out something that proves to be profound and helpful. Again, primarily due to the fact that I think outside the box. I have Asperger's syndrome, so what most people see as obvious, I don't. But what I see as obvious, they don't. I'm just weird like that. This may not be one of... Yeah, I think this was a screw around playthrough. Because I created a few new, I had 2 save files that I would use on this back in the day. I had one that I screwed around with, experimented with and stuff, that was Mass Effect 3 exclusive. And then I had one from the whole trilogy. The one from the whole trilogy, though, I had maxed out all the weapons I have had unlocked. I basically acquired everything in the game, maxed it out, other than the stuff that's included in the DLCs that I didn't have. I think this is one of the same save files that I did play around with a bit, experiment with builds and do achievement hunting, easier type thing. Other than the fact that my character pretty much looks the same as on both files. No, correction. Because of the difference in character builders, this character looks better as far as color coordination, hair color, eye color, skin color, than the one that I carried over from Mass Effect 1. So yeah, that kind of ties into what I was saying about scrapping the original character creators from each games and just building a new one that combines everything from all 3 games consistently. So you play as a female Shepard in Mass Effect 1. It uses the same preset, default preset, and customization options and hair colors is Mass Effect 3 included, plus the scars of Mass Effect 1 being available. And like I said, I would love to also have all the scars, tattoos, makeup, hair, color presets.
Let's just say the Turian code is not
hairstyles, as well as all of the hairstyles being unisex, being transferred over from Andromeda, plus additional ones.
What's strange is,
like, for example, it would be nice to have makeup, hair color, and eye color being customizable like it was in Andromeda, with the presets, as well as the casual gear.
Let's save this platoon.
Add additional tattoos, additional makeup options from Andromeda, that weren't in Andromeda but could be, maybe even throw them into Andromeda after the fact as a free patch.
This is Commander Shepard, Alliance Navy. Do you read?
This is Lieutenant Tarquin Victus of the 9th Platoon. We're pinned by Reaper harvesters and taking heavy casualties.
Doing some consistency things like that. Now, from what I've seen of the trailer and the speculation, there are some things that I could see happening with the new one. Now,
This sounds bad.
if you romanced a female character as a male character,
Looks worse than I feared.
I think it would be interesting that if they do a direct sequel to this where they bring Shepard back, have it a few years after, and find out that your romance ended up having your kid.
Tachanka is especially odd. Thoughts?
You're the Turian. You tell us.
There was a alternate ending where Shepard would start breathing after basically being killed, destroying the Reapers.
Quick, we don't want them to call for backup.
Right, probably a bit of a spoiler. An interesting aspect of that could be to switch it up so that well, she survived that, and if she romanced or switched it up to where using that with the femship,
Escape pod. Our first casualties.
if the
Survived the crash
femship
just in time for a harvester to take him out.
romanced
Died in
the
the
character enough, switch it up to where
Or dragged
said
out and chewed on by
character
husks.
knocked femship up.
Get it.
And lo and behold, not only did she survive destroying the
visual on
Reapers,
the enemy,
but
and there's an
she
escape pod
survived
just
being
beyond.
pregnant.
Looks like the
Or
Turians
something.
are in town.
I don't know.
Enemies up
I would
ahead
love
don't
to
know
have
we're
a Shepard
Surprise
Jr.
on our side
thrown
for
into
once.
the mix
I like it.
in the next one.
Exactly. Let's go.
Also, somehow bring in the Andromeda stuff. Somehow. I mean, I know Andromeda has a major time gap of, what was it, like 600 years after, or right before, during, I think it was the prologue of Mass Effect 2, when the Collectors attacked SR Normandy, and Shepard's declared KIA, I think it was. If you throw all that in,
We'll head for the main crash site. There's another pod ahead.
it would be interesting to tie it in. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Andromeda that was left incomplete because they... don't get me wrong, Andromeda...
Keep moving. We need to find the main crash site ASAP.
It's kind of a
Being the son of
problem
Adrian
child
Victus is a
for the
lot to live up
series.
to.
I mean,
It's a
it's
big
not
military
bad,
element. Wars expected
but
to run
at
in
the same
Victus
time,
Doesn't always work that way. You gotta make your
just
own name.
is incomplete, and it doesn't exactly... It's not exactly as good as the Mass Effect trilogy was. It has parts where it's better, primarily customization options. It's got a good story, it's a breakaway, but it has many issues. I referenced on my old Twitter account before I got my new phone number, right as they decided to do one of the identity checks, which I don't remember the original account's password, and because
Looks like we got the jump.
I went to update replace my old cell phone number that they had in the records with the new cell phone number. At the same time, they decided to verify my identity.
Heads up! Harvester incoming!
I had no way to prove my identity because I no longer had that cell phone number, nor could I log into their online customer support because I didn't remember the password. Because, well, I'm trying to remember dozens of passwords.
I think we saved all those men.
Over here.
And I remember most of them. I just never, for the life of me, remember what password I used for Twitter. I just end up using the two-step verification.
Over here.
For some reason, because the security check, two-step verification
Shepard here.
was
What's the
overwritten by the security check. So I had no way to get back into that account because I just replaced the phone number and was about to update it. And Twitter only has online automated customer service bots. So I lost that account. But there was an article about DLC for Andromeda that would fix many of the story inconsistencies and incomplete things that I agreed with. One of which would be adding like a Geth/Batarian stowaway situation with a Chlorian arc. Just a variety of different stories that improve everything.
There's the harvester. Got it on the run.
DLC wise and whatnot. And I agree with what they had. Also, there are a few things that could have been touched upon. They're overly sci-fi tattoos and makeup, for example. It's fine by itself, but they didn't have enough non-overly sci-fi options over those. It would have also been better to also allow for basically how the eyes allowed you to take the two customization options. There was an inner eye color where you could use the slider and an outer, for example. Using that for the hair colors would have helped. Also, there wasn't enough long hair or tuxedo long hair options.
Okay.
They had plenty of ponytails added.
It's important we don't lose this squad.
Not great ones, mind you.
Wouldn't the Krogan want to blow these Reapers the hell
So
off their
it
own
wasn't
planet?
too good.
Krogan terrain
There is, of
animosity
course, a
ancient
mod
and
for the
intense. It's
PC
inborn.
version on the Nexus,
And I need
which
them to work together,
imports
so
a
let's
few
not complicate things.
modded Sim 4 hairstyles into the game. Many of which are variations of ponytails and twin tails and stuff like that that I feel would actually improve the character creator too. A few other miscellaneous things that would improve it that were listed in that article.
All right, let's move. Right behind you.
But in general, it was good. Although there are some things that weapons and stuff that were part of Mass Effect 3 that I wish were included in that. But I understand why they weren't. Makes perfect sense why they weren't. Due to the timelines when the Andromeda initiative left. However, one of the things I've noticed is Mass Effect 2, the Phalanx pistol, has that useful laser pointer. However, it's only in Mass Effect 2 that I'm pretty sure has that laser pointer. Some possible improvements could be adding attachments after 2 into Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, Andromeda, where you have different laser pointers that increase accuracy, bullet drift, what distance, range-finders, sort of thing, and they basically do the same thing as Carfax in Mass Effect 2's laser pointer. But one thing that was the problem with it was being a laser pointer, everybody can see it. But we're talking about a sci-fi series where characters wear HUDs and helmets with HUDs. Why couldn't a laser pointer exist where it's designed to not be visible to the naked eye?
Over here.
But instead requires specialized equipment synced up to the signal or light or frequency spectrum of laser pointer to actually be able to see it. Just something that would have improved gameplay options, you know? I will also point out that with the Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer, there were a bunch of characters without helmets, but you couldn't customize their appearance.
He screwed up. Stand down, soldier.
Though the non-human versions, you could at least change their skin tones.
Stand down.
An option to toggle on a helmet would have been nice. If not, be able to change their hairstyle and do the same thing you could do in single-player character creator.
I chose caution and clever
For
tactics over a
Andromeda single-player for the multiplayer characters without helmets.
You mean the crash?
Yes.
As far as
We can see on
Apex
Hollow
teams.
that Reaper forces were blocking our intended path.
Another
Staying on course guaranteed heavy
possible
casualties. So I chose a safer route, skirting the enemy.
tweak
And that took
would
us
have
low and through these
that would have
ruins.
been nice is
When we encountered resistance, there was no
updating
room to
Andromeda's dialogue a
Suddenly,
bit.
we were in a fight for our lives. A lot of my men lost that fight.
That adds
Owning your mistake takes guts.
the ability
But you have
to
to get
pick
over it and move on.
which writer's
course.
sibling is
It's just
actually
fresh right now.
the youngest /
Our mission's
oldest,
still a failure.
as well as
When
to
we've stabilized
tweak
the
it
injured,
so
we'll head
that
back
they
to the
can
fleet.
be
You're abandoning your mission?
identical
We're down over 30 men.
twins
It'd be suicide.
or
What exactly did you come
same-sex
here to do?
fraternal twins
There's a
instead
bomb on
of
the planet. We were sent to defuse it.
opposite sex
How big?
or gender, if you
Enormous.
will,
Cerberus
political
has it.
correctness and whatnot.
Lieutenant, if Cerberus has
Twins.
that bomb, you have to finish your mission.
That would have
Haven't these
been a
men
nice
sacrificed enough?
touch for many
I understand.
people from
This kind
what
of
I've
sacrifice is the
been
hardest
able to
task,
gather
but
from
your men
those who I've
signed on
talked
for
to who've played it
And so did you.
in
My men
articles
have
and
lost
stuff.
hope, Commander. Even if I
Another
wanted to
thought
finish the
that
mission, they
I
don't.
just remembered
It's your
is
job to make them want to.
Mass Effect Trilogy dialogue options. Notice the limitations there. Then you play Andromeda and you have those icons that differentiate them from bromance / friendship, romance, casual, professional, logical, and emotional type responses with their own icons, their own personality defining variants. Combine that into the trilogy with the existing Paragon and Renegade reactions and dialogue options would really improve
Their sacrifice means that others will never
development
face what they faced
or
here today.
character
Remind them that those
story
sacrifices have no
development
honor if the
for
mission
the
fails.
players. And
Men, I own what happened here today.
again,
But
not
we have
so
to
much
carry on.
cosmetic
No, we
changes
don't. Who cares
there,
about a few dead Krogan? It's
but
over.
it would help.
We are Turi, and we
Again,
will not
facial
let
reconstructor
Cerberus
would
succeed.
help.
Our sacrifice is the difference between
I
life
also
and death for this
think
entire galaxy.
That
Let the heroes of the 9th platoon
a variety
be
of
remembered for
other
performing their
cosmetic
duties with
options
bravery.
could
All
be
right, men.
used, or
Shuttle arriving
upgrades
any
can
minute.
be used for
We're moving out.
consistency. This includes the in-game options / settings for graphics, audio controls, and whatnot, narrative.
Thank you. That'll give us time to do a little recon. See what we're
film
up
grain type stuff.
You have a second chance here. Make their sacrifice
as well
count.
as
Understood, Commander.
Controls.
Hope to see you at the rendezvous.
The trilogy, one of the biggest problems is Mass Effect 1 has its own unique control scheme. Mass Effect 2 has another unique one. Mass Effect 3 has another unique one. And Mass Effect Andromeda has yet another unique control scheme.
What the hell is going on, Commander? And what are the Turians have
that
to do with it?
Coordinates Victus
causes
gave me place
issues
within the
between the
Valley.
gameplay.
It's a heavily populated area.
Granted,
That's all I
you
know.
can have the option to use the defaults.
Right here.
You can also
What do you suggest?
have the option to pick
Get the Primarch to come clean.
between the
alert the
control
Krogan military?
schemes as a base
We're in
with
the
slight
dark here.
alterations,
Krogan-Turian
but
relations
more or
are
less
fragile until the
unified
genophage is
control
cured.
schemes.
Let's not push it. And how about this bomb? How many troops does Cerberus have on this?
No
Just
idea. All I know is
trying
we can't have them
to
detonating that
point
bomb.
out things that could
Keep
help
me in the loop.
prove it.
Hack it out.
Now, again, while I'm waiting to
Primarch
get
Victus.
to
Impressive
points
work,
that would
Auntie
help,
Chunka. I'm grateful that
Why didn't you tell me about the Cerberus bomb?
I'm here and
Why hide
there
that?
altering games.
What else are you keeping from me?
Right
I
now,
have nothing
I
for
won't.
you.
For our alliance to work, I need to trust you.
Our friendship is new, Commander. Would you trust me with information that puts your people, puts Earth, at risk?
Why would I jeopardize our alliance by lying to you now? Doesn't make sense.
Decisions like these weigh heavy on me. When I was a general, I could pass them up the chain of command. But now, I'm all I've got. Know what I mean?
Sure. And?
And that's all. Wait, there is one more thing, Commander. Thank you for saving my son.
So, Reapers don't have colonies. You can't bomb them, or you're bombing what's left of your own planet. They make their own soldiers out of our civilians. They don't have supply lines.
Unread messages at your private terminal, Commander.
Trying to do a normal schedule outside of holiday things. holiday specials and surprises. I don't get new games a lot unless they're within the range of Game Pass, sadly enough. But with Game Pass's added of EA Play, that should help. Pretty much sums up my stream mindset. Yeah, that's one of those pauses where I'm focusing on my task over what I'm saying that will pop up here and there. Well, for now I'll have to end this stream and do it at another time. Because as you can probably hear, barking started. And I did 91 minutes for the time being. So, to the next stream.
Do we know what Cerberus is?